this shit? This horribly unfunny episode of Triple THS is brought to you by DraftKings.com. What's up, fight fans? I'm the Enron of Mixed Martial Arts, Tommy Toehold, and today I have a very special guest, a real-life guest, unlike 99% of my show, which means if we could, please remove the disclaimer. Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, I fucking shit you not, via the Triple THS hotline, I bring you the infamous Jon Jones. Is this Jon Jones?
This is a Jon Jones.
You are a Jon Jones.
Yes, I was born first, so technically first Jon Jones, of the two of us.
That's right, fight fans, this is in fact Jon Jones, spelled just like Jon Jones spells his name. Jon is the owner of the @JonJones Twitter account and always has been. So as you can imagine, his timeline is mainly filled with angry motherfuckers. Jon, how long have you been getting bombarded with hate on Twitter because people have mistaken you for the other Jon Jones?
I think it was 2012. I've been getting stuff on Twitter and to some degree through my website for him. After UFC 151, that's when it went completely insane. Because previously, every week, I'd get a handful of tweets saying like, man, that Jon Jones is such a bitch, he's going to die. I'm like, what? Holy shit. And it's all, I knew what was going on. I'd play along and be, self-deprecating because nothing throws people off more when they think they're talking smack about a guy that punches people in unconsciousness for a living, only to find a chubby white guy acting scared on the other end.
I get similar tweets saying I'm a bitch and going to die daily, except there's no mistake who they're sending them to. So when they first started coming in, did you do a little research and realize there was a second Jon Jones that people apparently hated the shit out of?
Exactly. And I had friends that were MMA and UFC fans, and they're like, hey, there's this funny thing. This guy, the same name as you, same spelling. So they made me gradually aware of it. I did a little bit of homework. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Not really a sports guy, but I hope he does well. So much for that.
Yeah, things have not gone exactly according to plan for Jon Jones. Well, the Jon Jones that's not you. What does this Jon Jones do?
I'm a video game developer. This is, I think, going to be my 16th year as a game developer, and I've been specializing in virtual reality lately. I'm kind of a contract art producer and art director. Work with teams all over the world to build video games. Like I did an American Horror Story VR experience for San Diego Comic-Con earlier this year. Worked on a Just Cause 3, a console action game, kind of the same vein as Grand Theft Auto, but crazier. Yeah, just stuff like that. Worked on about 50 games in my career.
50 games! Other Jon Jones? 0 video games developed. Where you at, JBJ? By the way, I played the fuck out of Just Cause 3, and it is about 90% the reason most of my episodes don't come out on time. That game is better than cocaine and off-brand Cialis. So, do you follow what the other Jon Jones is doing, or do you just get fucking ripped to shreds every time he does some shit, and that's usually enough to get you an idea of what's going on?
I get it entirely in passing. I don't even have to follow the news because it follows me. So, just in the middle of the day, the way it usually happens is I'm working, or I'm, out at a bar with friends or having lunch. It's almost always when I'm eating, actually. I'm in the middle of a huge shrimp burrito, and then I find out oh, okay, so he 2 or 3 days out, he's been busted for PEDs, and he's not going to be fighting. I'm mouthful of shrimp. I'm like, oh God, my Twitter's going to be ridiculous. So just basically my phone will buzz right off the table. I have to disable notifications. And I decide, okay, well, I'm just going to deal with this as it comes in. It's literally a hobby for me at this point. Whatever, I never know when it's going to stop or start. But whenever it happens, I just go, okay, the rest of my plans today are done. And here I go.
Well, I have a feeling you're going to be getting a lot more talk about your dick from random people on Twitter now.
People have been yelling at me about how my dick works all week.
Sounds about par for the course after the Rogan podcast. Let me ask you this, Jon Jones. Is the other Jon Jones aware of you?
The only time he's ever acknowledged that I exist was blocking me on Twitter. It was over Christmas in 2014. No idea why, just block out of nowhere. Then, I think a month or two ago, he unblocked me for a week and then blocked me again.
That's the double block. That's some 2023 shit right there. Wow, so you've never said anything to him to warrant any sort of blocking or anything?
Yeah, we've never interacted. When he was on the cover of the EA UFC game, he and I were actually at the same trade show, and a friend of mine worked at Electronic Arts. I was thinking, well, oh, wow, hey, we're both at the same show, and, it'd be kind of cool to meet. So I asked him if we could arrange a meeting. I didn't push on or anything. It was probably never happened, but let's give it a shot. Didn't hear back, no real response. Outside of that, that's the only time I've attempted to contact him. Yeah, he blocked me. No idea why. I can't even begin to speculate as to why that is. Honestly, my dream would be able to do a fake, fight promo poster with him, or back-to-back buddy cop kind of shot.
Hashtag unblock Jon Jones, Jon Jones. I'll tell you what, I would watch the fuck out of a Jon Jones buddy cop movie. Michael Bay, get on that shit right now. Nobody cares about Transformers 9. Jon, I have to ask you, Are you surprised that people at this point have not figured out that you are clearly not the other Jon Jones?
At this point, I've learned to keep my expectations of humanity pretty low. Like, these people mainly think that the internet or Twitter is like a magical routing service. Like, if I tweet at bully that stole my sandwich in second grade, it'll magically find its way to him so I can tell him he's a dick.
How many tweets would you say you've received for the other Jon Jones?
I'd say north of 80,000 tweets in the last 4 years intended for him. I collect them on a Tumblr, actually. It's wrongjohnjones.tumblr.com.
Well, I know what I'll be looking at every time I need a laugh or a loss of faith in humanity. Have any opportunities come from being the other Jon Jones?
Well, after UFC 151, so I was living in Austin. A buddy of mine thought it was hilarious, and he went to like a Brazilian jiu-jitsu dojo, and he told them the story and got me a free MMA lesson that actually got filmed and put on the internet. And it's basically fat me punching set to the tune of Rocky.
That is fucking awesome.
I've gotten, I think, like a handful of free t-shirts, including from Reebok. When Bones signed with Reebok, Reebok accidentally tweeted at me to their 600,000 followers.
If you only knew, Jon Jones. I'm surprised Reebok didn't send you his actual fight kit he was supposed to wear for a fight with the name Jim Jackson on it.
Yeah, and then they sent me a really nice note, and they were playing back and back and forth, and sent me a t-shirt. Yeah, just little things like that. You know, nothing huge. My rule is I'll never try to monetize this. I never want to seem like I'm forcing it to be funny. And if people get sick of me, then I'll just shut up and disappear. I'm not gonna like use this to try and like pimp my band or some dumb shit.
I think that's fucking awesome, man. You're keeping it organic. You're not shilling bullshit. You're just having a great time with it. That's cool. Before we move on to the next question, fight fans, my band Super Deathcock is playing Monte Carlo night in the parking lot of the Staples on 10th Street. Raffle prizes before 8 p.m. Bring your own amp. Jon Jones, do you see a lot of repeated Twitter accounts coming after you, or do they usually get it after the first go?
With one exception, it's different people every time. It's almost always different people. And more often than not, I'd say it's actually like a 50-50 split between people trying to start like really tiny sports sites. MMA farts, blah, blah, blah. It's like any guy with a Twitter account and like a microphone will try and start something. It's a split between people trying to do that and guys with their shirts off flexing in a mirror with the backwards hat.
Sounds like the exact audience that might confuse you for the other Jon Jones. John, before we move on, I'm also going to take this time to pimp my small sports site, MMAfarts.com. You want MMA farts? We got them. So you have the original Jon Jones Twitter account. Is there anything else Jon Jones related that you got to before the other Jon Jones?
So I have JonJones.com as well. I actually ended up accidentally buying it out from underneath him because he didn't want to pay a very small amount of money when he was driving Bentleys.
Yeah, cars have been a bit problematic for other Jon.
I think the asking price was like $1,600, and his manager didn't want to go for it. And I'd been waiting for 11 years and got it for way less. But people ignore it's like, it's game development stuff. It's like, here's art direction outsourcing tips and crap like that. My face is on it. People skip all the way through and go to the contact form with my face next to it and still think I'm him. And one guy in Pittsburgh was saying what a big fan his wife was of me and how they loved to meet. And if I'm ever in Pittsburgh, you can stay with them. Wink, wink, wink.
Holy fucking shit. Johnny Bones, watch yourself if you're in the Rust Belt, man.
If I'd been single at the time, I would have flown out, shown up, and been like, all right, let's do this. Yeah, I look a little different on TV. Where's your wife?
Fuck, that's good shit. Knowing now the amount of insanity that is thrown in your direction almost daily, if you could go back, would you still keep the @Jon Jones Twitter name?
I'd keep the name, even knowing everything going into it. Like, there's a certain sense of pride being able to, like, for geeky folk getting in and getting the name they want without having to add, like, numbers, like Pimp Master 420 and crap like that. Being able to get in early enough and have that name, it's just like a little piece of real estate. And I spend most of my time, like, on a computer for my career and everything. So it's just sort of yeah, I got that. It's super geeky, but, I mean, I think video games for a living. I mean, it's kind of, like, in character. Speaking of geeks, I actually, a few weeks ago, met in person the guy that owns @Daniel Cormier.
That's right, fight fans. There is an @Daniel Cormier spelled just like Daniel Cormier, who also gets angry messages from fans. Likely about injuries.
About a year and a half ago, I started getting like tagged into things together as the Cormier and Jones stuff was heating up. And he works for like a malware research company. He's like a geek and a programmer. And it was so weird. We just got like tagged in together like that. Then we started joking around with each other. He was getting into it. So like whenever Jones and Cormier are like, fighting on the way in or just like acting like dicks to each other, he and I make a point of just sending pictures of each other's cats and talking about the little tricks and habits they have, just as a complete like palate cleanser. Like, oh, let's see what Jon Jones and Daniel Cormier are beefing about. Cat treat.
In your face, people who don't understand how Twitter works. Well, Jon Jones, this has been a lot of fucking fun. Thank you for agreeing to come on the show. Before I let you go, though, are there any projects you got going on or anything that you want people to know about?
Actually, yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. This actually sort of ties into, I wasn't sure how to bring it up because I don't want to make it like all productized, but I actually think this could be amusing and blow back toward the other Jones. I'm actually writing a book. It's going to be coming out next month. It's a memoir. Super long story short. I was raised by very extreme fringe evangelical Christians, homeschooled, went to like exorcism school. Like, have you ever seen like Jesus Camp or the trailers for that? It was very much like that. So I'm writing a book about my experiences getting out of it and how working in the video game industry helped me out. It's called How I Escaped Evangelical Hell by Jon Jones.
Sounds like an interesting read, Jon Jones, and seeing as how the other Jon Jones talks about religion often, this will probably cross over hilariously.
My little joke, and my friends have been joking around with me, saying, maybe finally he'll get hate mail intended for you.
He's gonna be so fucking confused. When is the book available, John?
It is available for pre-order, and it will be out by Christmas. It's basically just, I got a rubber stamp and it goes to the printer.
All right, there you have it. Jon Jones, thank you for being a good sport, and thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate you having me on. Have a great day.
You too. See you tomorrow, fight fans!